Hello, and welcome back to the Speaking of Tea podcast. I am your host, Rochelle, and today I am steeping tea outside on a Zoom call with Glenn Bowers from Crimson Lotus Tea. He's just over in Seattle, so over the water.
Hi, I'm Glenn, Crimson Lotus Tea, just over the water.
I I discovered him in February when I went on a road trip down the West Coast and just
Yeah, when
basically
when was it you stopped in for tea? I'm trying to remember.
that was February
Was it
sometime.
February?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Wow. Time certainly flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
then
Yeah, you had fun on that trip, right?
that was a transformative trip. It wasn't like it wasn't like something that felt like the most fun adventure. And that wasn't really the point, but it was still like really good. It was good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I got as far south as Eureka, California.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah. And that was a cool spot. I kind of at that point just needed the rest because I did was very much in my car and like lead footing it down, and then I'm like, oh, I need to
Yeah.
stop. I need to get grounded somewhere. And where else but with all the sequoia trees?
It's a gorgeous place. Yeah, it really is. I love those. I love those trees. I love the forest. So
Hmm.
we're drinking the same tea, right?
We are drinking the same tea. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so we're drinking Game Changer. I can show off this super fancy well, I've got a half of actually you've got a half a cake too, right? Because you bought half a cake from us. So I
Yeah.
don't think this is the other half, but of your cake, but it's the same
No, I
cake. We've
have
got
about
a
that much left. So,
yeah, right. So yeah, so this is a Game Changer. It's got some fun artwork on it. I like it. And it's a shou puerh and it's got some really nice big leafy material. It's nice. How have you been finding it yourself?
it's been lovely. I mean,
Nice.
I think it's sometimes that symptom of like the very first drinking of something that like makes you fall in love with it. So I felt like I extremely felt that sweet, smooth velvetyness when you were serving it,
Yeah.
but it's still there and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um,
You've been
but yeah, no,
experiencing some different profiles.
yeah, like it's still
Uh,
just really cozy, like that kind of a chocolatey feel to it.
It's very yeah, it's a very cozy tea.
I'm also trying to say that with like the first steep, so it's not as strong here, but
Right.
I'll have more when it's
So what are you brewing it with today? You got a little I Ching teapot?
got a Yixing teapot,
Nice.
one that well, I haven't really designated this one for anything in particular. It's pretty much
Yeah.
everything's gone into it. For those listening who don't really know about them, they're teapots from a but the clay is coming from a certain area in China called Yixing, and traditionally you choose one type of tea to put into these teapots, and then you're always brewing that in there. I broke that rule. I've just been using this one for all of them because it was my first clay one, and I that's all I had to use. So
It's okay. Once it's yours, you can break the rules.
yeah.
So I'm using a also an unglazed clay teapot, but mine's from the other side of China. So this is from Jianshui, and the Jianshui and Yixing clays are um, they're similar, but they're really different. The Yixing has a lot more mineral structural sand content to it, and Jianshui is more of a pure clay. So Yixing, because of that structural content in there, Yixing teapots can be made with really fine details, and they can be made super thin. But Jianshui teapots generally need to be a little bit thicker to kind of handle the lack of that structure in the clay. So Jianshui teapots are usually a little bit thicker, but for puerh tea, I think it works out well because puerh tea likes to be hot, and that extra clay just kind of keeps it warm.
Cool.
Yeah. So and
Nice.
also Jianshui is in Yunnan, which is where we get our tea, so I get to spend a lot more time working directly with the actual potters that make our teaware.
Very nice. I think you were serving that when I was there.
Yeah, I'm a nerd for teaware. Absolutely.
That, that's great. I decided to sit outside, so I don't have like a whole bunch of examples of things to pull out, but I can still nerd out about the teapots. Anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it kind of goes with the territory. I mean, the tea is one thing to enjoy, but being able to have fancy stuff to drink and brew it with certainly adds to the experience.
Yeah. Right now I'm just loving the experience of the tea table.
Nice, that's a nice
That,
one.
yeah. Well, I actually
Excuse me.
I got a new little thing from somebody this week. It's like a little like thin strips of bamboo tray, and it looks like it's
Right.
just a serving tray, but it also looks like it's great for tea if you know the
Nice.
biz. But
Nice.
this is fun because it's just outside on wood. There's these holes in it, and I can just pour the water right through it. Or
So the weather must be pretty decent there. What's it like today?
well, cloudy.
Yeah. What's the temperature?
Wonder if I can turn this camera around so you can see it better. Ta-da! And there's the
Ta-da! It's beautiful.
It's quite nice. There was like a light little trickle of rain when I started coming out here, but it seems fine.
Yeah, we've had thankfully like all this week in Seattle, it's been super clear. It means it's much colder, but it's nice to have the it's nice to be able to see the sun for the first time in like a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading I started reading, do you know Jitterbug perfume?
I don't. Why don't you tell me about it?
Tom Robbins is the author. Um, so there's in one of the earlier chapters, it's titled Seattle,
Oh, okay.
and it's something about there being a solar eclipse.
Okay.
And it was just the funniest intro that was totally about the area. Like, uh, it just went something along the lines of like, since people are just so used to not seeing the sun in Seattle, anyhow, not seeing it and not seeing it for like a couple of seconds doesn't really make a difference to anybody. But,
It's funny.
there's still excitement over the fact that there's a solar eclipse, but,
Yeah, Seattle during solar eclipses just goes from gray to a darker gray and then back to gray. And then yeah, it's funny the relationship people in Seattle have with the sun. And it's a funny thing because people here are very I don't know how do I say it. They like to pretend that they don't care about the sun. You know, it's just like a Seattle identity thing. It's just like, oh yeah, this is Seattle. It's always cloudy, blah 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 blah. But
uh,
then like after like 3 months or something, like people are zombies. Like if it's like the longest I ever saw was about 90 days with no sun. And people were just zombies. They were just like walking around like the Walking Dead. It was weird. And then like that 91st day when the sun came out, like everyone was like best friends. They're like, "Hey, let's go to the park and go for a walk." And they're all just like, "Look at us. Like we got sun again." And it was just such a funny non-Seattle thing to like be walking around like, "Hello, neighbor. How are you? Don't you love that sun?" It was just funniest thing. So we like to say we don't care about the sun, but we really do. Like we need it. We need it for sure.
In this area, I think we're all used to talking about the depression that it brings when there is no sun for quite a while.
Yeah, it's real. It's legit. We need the sun. It's important. So even though it's been super cold like the last week because there's no warming cloud layer, it's been really nice to just have some sun. Even just like right now, the sun is just
Yeah, yeah, sun.
it's
Okay,
great.
nice. So yeah,
Great.
I see that reflecting on the posters behind you.
Right. Yeah, you
Awesome.
can get a little bit. And right now the so this it's winter, so the sun's like low enough. So if I do a tea tasting early in the morning, I actually, get the sun like right in here. So you get a
Woo!
bunch of it just looks really nice. So, but yeah,
Beautiful.
I like it.
I am thinking about changing around because I'm just kind of seeing the recycle bins behind me, and I think I'm going to switch the other side.
All good. So how did you guys fare with that super mega storm that we had a week or so ago?
All right, super mega. Oh.
like the
Um,
super bomb cyclone thing
oh
or whatever
right.
that wrecked the Northwest. Did you guys get much of that up there?
Right, that was like 2 weeks ago, right? I think
Yeah, I
we
think so.
we got it. But oh wait, oh, let's see my tea table. Here we go. This was the original challenge. We we definitely had a power outage. Bit. That was kind of a cool one for me.
Okay.
I was at this event venue called Char's Landing, and we've been doing this community choir thing. And while we're there, suddenly the lights go out.
Yeah.
All the power goes out. So I mean, the conductor, she's on and off using her microphone, but whatever. But there's yeah, our lights going out, but there's an emergency light that came on. So we're like, oh, how long is this going to last? So we asked like the venue owner, and we asked Shar, we're like, so what do we do? What do you
What do
want
we
us to
do?
do? She's like, that's fine, just keep singing. I'll bring out candles. And there she goes,
Perfect.
bringing out all of the candles and setting it up around, and then we're just singing in the dark together. It's pretty magical.
We where we are specifically had almost like at my home nothing. Like I didn't
Really?
I wouldn't have even known it was a storm. It was barely windy. There was no rain, and I was just like, wow, geez, this is nothing. But apparently, like places just a few miles from us just got wrecked.
Oh no.
It was like some of the areas around Seattle were out of power for like 6 days. I mean, it just tore things apart. I mean, people died. One like lady was taking a shower and a tree like fell through the bathroom. And it's just
Oh
like so it
dear.
was like it was like a serious storm for a lot of people. And I feel kind of bad because I was like, well, shoot, man, I didn't even feel
Yeah.
anything. And usually like no branches even blew down in our yard. And usually our yard just gets wrecked with the smallest storms. And I'm like, so we certainly got lucky with that one
Good. Cheers to that. Yeah, we
for
otherwise
sure.
some trees were down in different areas, but nothing too major here, which is nice.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Knock on wooden tea tables.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
have not had a so we had, it was obviously the Black Friday stuff, last weekend. I have not had a really good sit down tea session since then. So I've been just super
Hmm.
busy trying to get packages put together and all of that stuff. So I think this is maybe like the first like real sit down tea session I've had all week. I've been so busy.
Oh, good. And it was actually put on your schedule too, so maybe you needed that.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I definitely did. I've been yeah, been out of it. We've been one of the things we did is if people ordered more than $150 in tea, we gave them one of our new Christmas themed cakes of white tea called White Christmas. We're super excited about. But like we had shipped a bunch here to Seattle, and it's just been perpetually delivered the next day for like a week now. And I'm
Oh,
just
good.
it's well, no, it's not good because I've got all these orders that people are getting a free cake of this tea, and I don't have it yet. And I just keep
Oh,
it's like, well, it was supposed to be here like 2 weeks ago. We did plan ahead, but now it's like every day it's just out for delivery, but it just never shows up. So I've got to follow up with the post office after this. Just those little shipping Grinches in there doing their magic.
okay. That out for delivery thing where things take many days.
But you guys have some shipping fun up there as well, right? I mean, you've got Canada Post isn't delivering anything, right?
Yeah, they're not delivering anything. I discovered a new postal service that's called Dragonfly. I
Okay.
haven't heard back from them yet about setting up an account. I haven't figured like I'm like wanting to mail things out, but I'm really not sure which avenue I'm going down with it. So it's like, oh, I would love to offer shipping, but what am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for us. We've got we had before we understood the scope of the Canada Post strike,
Yeah.
um, we had, just continued to be shipping packages out to Canada. But now China Post is actually just automatically returning them to us because they're like, we're not going to deliver it to Canada because nobody's going to do anything if they get it there. And so they're just So now we can't even our packages can't even leave China if they're going to Canada because it's just the backup is so huge. There's just nothing to do with it once it gets to Canada, which is kind of unfortunate.
Hmm. So you have people ordering from Canada now?
Yeah. We have a
Yeah,
decent number of Canadian customers.
great.
And so, but most of them will order from our China inventory. So they buy from their China inventory, and then it gets shipped direct to Canada, which is sometimes quicker and less of a hassle than shipping from US to Canada, which is bizarre. But
Yeah, yeah, you said it tends to be more expensive to send from America to Canada, right?
yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's no longer a ground option. So I can't ship USPS ground because you used to be able to ship USPS ground. It would go into a truck and then that truck would drive across the border and deliver the packages and stuff. But now all packages from USPS from the US to Canada via USPS have to go via air, even if you select the ground option. So ground to Canada means it goes by a truck from Seattle to LA, and then it gets on a plane from LA to Montreal, and then it gets on a truck from Montreal all the way over to Vancouver if you're in the Vancouver area, which just seems wild
It's
because
so ridiculous how
I
much
could I
effort
could I
things
could
can go
literally
through.
walk it to Canada faster, which is
I
so
can
funny.
I can deliver something down island faster than it takes for Canada Post to do it.
Yeah,
I'm middle of the island, Port Alberni, and I can mail something to Victoria, and it's just crazy how long it's going to take in transit where I can get there in 3 hours if I
right.
drove. It's
I
just more
know.
expensive that way because I have to pay for the fuel, but
Right. I know. It's
and
just a funny thing.
then it drives me nuts that there's no like there really could be an inter-island delivery service that we could
Right.
use for businesses because it costs me the exact same thing
Yeah.
to mail something to Victoria as it takes to mail something all the way to the East Coast. If I want to send something to Prince Edward Island, it would cost me the same with Canada Post, which is one benefit, but I'd have to have the customers out there.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I mean, it's USPS is the same in the US. Well, I mean, it kind of it has they have zones. So there's like five different zones. So we're in like zone one. So if our customers are in zone one, which is like most of the West Coast and kind of like like Idaho, Oregon, and some of Colorado, like their packages go relatively quickly and cheaply, but every like one zone over, which could actually be just like one city different. Like LA for us is in zone one, but then San Diego isn't. And so it's just like it costs like multiple dollars more to go to San Diego versus LA, even though they're so close to each other. But just a lot of those little things. It's also USPS just charges just a ton. It's just like it's so pricey now. It's just and it's everyone gets kind of used to the whole like free shipping Amazon type model, and then they come to a like a private business site. They're like, "Oh, you're charging me $15 to deliver this," and I'm like, it's not money's not going to me, man. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know. But
I know. That's part of I personally have a trouble with offering any like things for shipping. Like I've almost wanted to stay more local because like I don't want to put that extra charge on my customers. But I mean, if they want it, they'll pay it, I guess. But I don't know.
yeah,
But then right, like you said, offering free shipping, yeah, I would need to have like a lot higher of a price point on the sale first. Like
so apparently, I mean, Amazon in
even
Canada is
if it's
still delivering.
$100 in free shipping, it still doesn't benefit me a ton if it's $25 to ship.
Right. No, exactly. And we did free shipping at the beginning when we first started because we weren't shipping from the US and everything was shipping from China, and everything from China was it was just so cheap back then to ship from China, and it was um but even still like the products were all just $1 more expensive, which is the cost it took to ship a product or something like that. So
That's
even
fair.
the idea of free shipping isn't free. I mean, people have to pay for it
Yeah.
somehow. But um yeah, no, shipping's just gotten so expensive in the US just for small packages.
Yeah.
It's tough. But so I guess, yeah, Amazon in Canada is still delivering, right? Because they've got their own private setup, right? I mean, as long as you're in
Oh
like
yeah.
an Amazon delivery area, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So I mean
I
that's
haven't
good
really
for
thought
them.
about selling through Amazon yet. It doesn't feel
Well, they've got
it,
huge markups, so I mean, you gotta calculate that into everything. But
yeah.
it's a viable option, but it's a little, it's a little trickier to get it set up officially. But you can do it. We did it the first year, and then it was just a little bit too much of a hassle, so we stopped doing it. But
Yeah. Oh, oops. Okay. I think we're good. Little had a little pop up on the screen about oh, oh, we only have 9 minutes left on this one. Okay. Then we can just
gotcha.
recall. We can recall
Sure.
and set it up again.
Yeah. Now that we got it all figured out.
Now we know what buttons to press.
Nice, nice.
I think I was actually drinking this tea in the beginning stages of my album creation.
Nice. Tell me about your album.
Yeah, I sorry, I got trucks going behind me. I don't know if you can hear how loud that is, but
I can't hear him.
oh, excellent. And this microphone serving me great out here. Um, so I made an album called Singing to the Dead, and
Okay.
I really only created it over like 2.5 weeks, but it's like it kind of felt like all this potential of music or songs that I could have made over time that just really came pouring out in this short period. Um, and so I was really creating it over like tea, having some tea sessions. So like good tea infused in me, and then I'm uh was just improvising a bunch of stuff. So like the first track I did was just like vocalizing, singing. It's just like very like emotional and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next songs, like one started off with that, and then I just kind of improvised a bunch of words, which is just relative pretty new for me because I don't know, I'm more of like of a writer. I can creatively write and make awesome things, but not so much in the spoken realm.
Okay.
But it really just felt like very I really felt the spirit of tea was with me in it. It
Yeah,
like
I know what you mean.
yeah, having some good tea and I'm like really with it and focused. I have the microphone in front of me, having the headphones on and I can just hear my voice and it's just that I just like performed these songs and I don't know, I don't remember which one now that I was drinking the Game Changer with, but it definitely was a part of that creation.
Yeah, no, these teas are awesome for creative inspiration. I've certainly noticed that. You know, sometimes when I don't know what to name a tea or if I don't know the design or something, I'll just have a really strong session with that tea and then just kind of write down everything that comes into my head, and it's awesome. It's very muse-ish.
It is a muse.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah, I think most of those came from having tea, and I was just really happy and proud of that. Like,
That's awesome.
and if I got myself into the mode, like, I don't know, maybe I can just like make a whole bunch of music like crazy.
Well, I love hearing stories like that because I'm really fascinated with the idea that, you know, I've helped to provide a product that's, you know, brought, you know, creativity into somebody else's life. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Well, nice, rich, velvety show pour. Oh, show pour. It's just
Yeah.
so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
it's got the cozy element. It just makes you feel like a whole person.
Yeah. The first time I had show for it, it just tasted familiar. It tasted like I'd been drinking it my whole life, even though that was the first time. It was just I just instantly connected with it. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's nerd out about show pour now. I started making a list of a bunch of different terms, words that people use to describe show pour, including my
Yeah.
own, but
Yeah.
I think I can probably well we're gonna have to pause this. So I'll during the
Sure.
our little break I'll go and get that page. But I know that there
Sure.
is like let's see, definitely dirt, swamp, muddy. Um, but then you got like cozy and warm, but um earthy, uh moss, well, mulch. Yeah. Variety of things like that. Things on the surface don't seem like appetizing, but when you're drinking it, it's like, but it is these things.
Yeah, it's funny because you'll see it described to people who haven't had it before. People are like, "What is this tea going to taste like?" And they're like, "Well, it's going to taste like dirt, but in a good way." Like they always like describe all these things that don't sound good, but then they say, "But in a good way." It's just kind of
Yeah.
funny.
That's that's part of my that is definitely my favorite part about introducing it to people. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it tastes like dirt. Want to try?
Tastes like you're licking a muddy swamp, but you're gonna like it.
It's gonna taste cozy. It's gonna taste like home, and it's going to blow your mind, I promise. But I don't have any better description than dirt.
Yeah, I know. We don't have a lot of. I mean, you can kind of like if you say like forest instead of like mud, you can describe it in ways that are more pleasant
Yeah, like
for
this one, I'm
sure.
like velvety, smooth,
Well, this one
silky.
is this one is
So
really smooth.
these
Yeah,
are that's more to the mouth feel, I guess.
more
Like
of a
I guess when
texture description.
we're trying to describe it, well, how do you what word do you use when we're trying to describe it? Like I guess direct like with taste association, that's when we're saying like dirt and stuff. But when we're
Yeah,
describing more to texture and the feeling of it, then I think more of the poetic words actually come through.
right. Yeah, because otherwise
Okay,
it's
there we go.
just yeah, otherwise you're just comparing it to something else, like it tastes like mushrooms or it tastes like,
Yeah,
soil.
right.
But yeah, you can get more creative when it comes to how it makes you feel as opposed to a subjective like sensory taste.
Yeah. I got this like bamboo basket of shou
Yeah.
from like 2001.
Okay.
And I did end up writing a I think I wrote multiple poems about it, and then I merged it into one finally for my third book. I think it's in there. And
Okay.
and that's when I'm like, it smells like books from like an old man's book collection.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, okay, like it smells like something that is ancient, well loved, been on the shelf a long time, but because of the fraying edges of the pages from the oxygen exposure and being open many times and people's little, hand oils, but it feels so good to hold this really aged book in your hand. That's what this
Right.
one is like. So
Yeah,
that
it's the
and
same.
I think that became like a better overall description of what Chopin can bring to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a book is just decaying plant material as well. And that's what paper is. I mean, puerh
Right.
tea is just decaying plant material. So it's interesting that they both, over time release similar aromas. It's kind of cool actually.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Mm. I haven't been keeping track of my steeps here, but I'm probably on like a steep five-ish.
Same,
But feeling
same.
good.
I haven't kept track either. This tea doesn't really get super uh dank like some of the other puers do. This one stays relatively clean and clear, which is nice. So even after multiple
Yeah.
steeps, it's just got some really nice color to it.
Mm. Yeah, this one's it is to that. I did have a couple of darker steeps I didn't actually show into the camera,
Yeah.
but I did like 6.7 grams in this little pot. So
Well, I guess my scale for darker teas is like, I mean, I have some that are just like motor oil. So I wouldn't like I don't describe this one as being a darker brewing chauffeur just because I can actually see through it. That's
okay.
that's
Yeah.
my scale.
That's part of why I bought this one from you because I've had other ones that are like really dank and like really a punchy earth, but
Yeah,
then when I tasted how velvety smooth it was, I'm like, oh, but this feels like a very like very cozy. Like I
it's a
definitely want that smooth atmosphere in contrast to other types of pour.
yeah, it's a very comfortable. It's
Move that over. We get a better view of the background. Ah, okay.
What were we talking about? I forgot. Where were we at? I don't
Oh,
remember. We can jump to whatever. What do you want to talk
we
about?
were something around talking about shou puerh and
Oh yeah, the describing flavors and aromas in
yes.
romantic or unromantic ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep that around there. I also brought a little friend with me. This
Hey.
seashell. It's an ancient
Oh,
seashell.
wow.
And well, I shouldn't have it, but I have it. It's from there in Florida.
Okay.
Right down on like the tip of it. There's this native tribe or something that used to live out there, and
Okay.
they they would they would use seashells in like a form of currency,
Oh,
and
sure. Okay.
they would collect it, and then other people would come out with canoes filling them with seashells. They would take them and then just build these mountains with seashells on it.
Yeah.
So where there's no hills or mountains in Florida, this is the only
Right.
area with elevation because of these things.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so I don't know, at some point they left the area, but there's still those mountains. But over time, like grass grew over it and stuff, so it actually became
So
these
they're just
mountains.
seashell mountains or seashell hills. Oh, I can't
Yeah,
even say that.
but
Seashell hills.
seashell
But
hills, seashell hills, seashell hills.
yeah, you should sell them. She sells
Yeah.
seashell hills.
Honestly, Rochelle, I really should get in that business.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Rochelle,
I've
she
really
sells
been
seashell
missing out on my
hills.
calling. Rochelle sells seashells on the seashore. Still couldn't do that with
Wow.
almost a list. But yeah, so I guess at some point, like colonizers came out there, they saw those, they're like, oh, great, that's material to build roads. So they took out a whole bunch of these ancient hills in history and without knowing what anything about it, and they like built a lot of roads out of it. But there's still some
They
who
also built
up there, so I picked one and a
they
few.
built their forts. The Spanish built all their castles and forts using the same material.
Oh yeah.
Um, it was it acts like cement. I mean, it's just like when you take it and grind it up into like a slurry and build with it, it becomes like an incredibly dense like concrete cement thing that's also um malleable still. And so they found like their castles and their forts and stuff that they built when they were being attacked, they didn't crumble like most forts built with cement would. So like when they were hit with a cannonball, the cannonball would just get like sucked into the wall, and so
Oh.
it wouldn't break it out. And so even during mid battle they could actually like scale down the side and like use a hammer, and they could pull out the cannonballs and then shoot them back at the ships because they were just like stuck in the walls, like still intact. And you can still see that on some of the Spanish forts on the Florida coast. You can see these just big cannonball holes that were in the whole fort is built out of a, it's not specifically that those, but it's the same. The seashell stuff goes up and down the east side of the Florida coast, and it just like coagulates in these masses, like as the ocean kind of crushes it into this like this powder thing. They can just go and like dig it out in these big huge masses of it and then build with it. It's amazing. All their sidewalks are that, but it's terrible because if you trip on a sidewalk in those cities, like you're just ripped to shreds because it's just like the sharpest
Oh
seashell
God.
material. It's terrible as a kid to be like running around and then tripping. And we
Well,
used to spend summers there as a kid. So yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, when it's just checking. When you feel like you want to go out to Florida to just be barefoot and walk
yeah.
along the beach, I think again.
So I don't know if it's the same stuff that you've got, but the place that we used to go to in Florida, they called that seashell material coquina, and that's what we found a cat when we were there as kids, and we kept that cat, and we named that cat Coquina. So it's just been
Cute.
stuck in my head for a long time. It's a cute cat name, right? Coquina. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think those people the name started with an A or something.
Sure, that
But
makes sense.
we do have a book in the house of it about it. So no.
Fun.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. My roommate actually he had as a kid he was visiting like there or like one of the small islands with his uncle uh and I guess it was there he was like a fire chief or something. And so they had come across this grave, and it was like a big discovery of like
Yeah.
of one of the chiefs or something that they're pulling up. But and he's like, I always remember this because I wasn't allowed to go because I was a kid and I had to watch Wizard of Oz. I couldn't get to be there. But then so when we actually went, what was it last year? Like February last year, we went out
Yeah.
there, and then there's like a museum that an exhibit that was about the pulling up of that grave and that discovery. He's like, that's the thing. When I was a kid, that was that moment.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that you should take your kids to like stuff like that. Like that's
Right?
where like you really should. And it's I mean now that I'm a parent, it is hard, but we really try to do that. So when we're working with the tea farmers, and we're traveling through, like Southwest China, like our kids are always there. They're always somewhere around. Maybe they're just like playing with like the other kids in the village or something, but we really try and have them to be a part of that. I think there's a, incredible educational value just in them, being there. But
Yeah, I feel
like when
that.
we were the guys that made these teapots for us when I was in their studio, we brought the kids, and so I had like 250 teapots that I had to look through and inspect and make sure that they all look nice. And so I told the guy that was helping make the teapots for us, I'm like, tell you what, like there's a big pile of clay over there and there's a wheel. Why don't you try and teach my kids like how to make teacups? And he's like, okay. So he sat over there with like my kids were so messy by the end of it. They were just like covered in mud, but he was showing them how to like form like teacups on the wheel. And I'm like, that's awesome. I just got like free pottery lesson for my kids. So
Free pottery lesson,
well, I say
sort
free
of free
pottery lesson,
babysitting.
but I mean, I had to buy 250 teapots to get a
Oh,
free pottery lesson for the kids, so it
okay,
wasn't exactly
that's not economical
wasn't
babysitting.
exactly free, but it worked out. So
Yeah. That's probably worth it for him to lose some clay on across their bodies.
oh oh yeah, no, but no, it was hopefully like those are things that kids will like remember when they get older when they were got to hang out and make teapots with some
Yeah,
Chinese teaware
that's
master or
cool.
something.
Well, you say you bring them
So
to China and they eat tea leaves right off the trees.
right off the tree. It's so bitter. And Gemma, my daughter, she's a little older, and she started it earlier than my son did, just because we didn't get him there as much because of COVID and stuff. But even when she was just like a baby on my backpack, um, she would just grab as I was walking through the forest, she was just grabbing and eating leaves, and that's like become like a part of her identity. She loves telling people that. She loves like eating leaves in front of people. And my son has tried, and he will if I have like a pot of something that I'm brewing, he'll definitely come over and pull some leaves out and eat it. But we let him. I filmed a video of him trying to eat the tea leaves like directly from it, and people don't realize like how like you think tea is bitter, like the actual leaf off of the tree is insanely bitter. It is so much more bitter. And like his face, he's just like putting it in his mouth, and he's just like he's making like the worst faces, but he's like trying to like soldier on and be strong and chew it down, but like he just couldn't do it. It was so bitter.
She's such a show off.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my daughter's just like, yeah, this is easy. Yeah, he didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Is she good with spicy food, or is this just a bitter thing she can
well,
have?
we're working on it. Because when we're there, I mean, everything is spicy, and so we try to give them spicy food and cook with spicy stuff here. And I mean, they're probably significantly better at it than most like American kids of the same age, but they're not at the same stage where like my wife is as far as like eating spicy food or I am. But though they definitely like they've got like their own like little bottle of like hot sauce light of stuff that they put on things because we're just trying to get them into the idea of like having some spice in everything. Because when we go back over there, I mean you can't control like how much spice is in your stuff. Even if you're at a restaurant and you tell them you don't want any spicy, like the level of no spice is still significantly high. So, but
Yeah. I like a good level of spice.
Yeah.
I went out with a few friends last night to an Indian restaurant,
Nice.
and so there's like a two friends, mother and daughter. They're like, okay, so this side of the table is the mild side, and your side of the
Right.
table, you two, you are the hot side. You can have whatever you want of your heat level. Okay, yeah. So they we got like gobi garlic, that's like the cauliflower, like basically
Okay.
cauliflower wings. And it's actually made with some spice. So, theirs comes to the table and like, oh, here's the mild one. I'm like, that still smells kind of spicy for you guys. They're like, yeah. And then
Yeah.
like, and so then
Were they okay with it?
they needed a lot of water, but
Yeah.
they managed. Then
It's
my,
good.
and then the other
You
side,
can work through it. You can work through it.
yeah, and we got the hot,
Yeah.
because then you can go like extra hot. We're like, let's just do hot right now. Oh, got a little bug in my tea. Lovely. Um,
Just some protein.
some protein. And then so we got the hot and we're like, okay, this is good. Like, so how is it? And oh, it's comfortably hot. Yeah. Like we're not burning up. Like this is manageable, especially when you're only having, half the plate because you're sharing. That's when it's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Then when you have the full plate to yourself, that's when it starts to build and you're sweating.
So my problem is like a lot of the I'll be doing a lot of tea tastings in China, and I find that after the lunch meal, because usually the farmers will make something for you, or if you're at a market or something, usually you'll go out and eat lunch like with some of the vendors and things. Like they always like the specifically the Szechuan peppercorn just makes it so I can't taste tea for like a whole hour. It just it's not even like like traditionally spicy, but it just numbs your whole mouth. And so I have to remember it's just like, okay, like, well, whatever I'm gonna drink after this, I'm not gonna be able to taste. So it's gonna have to plan my tea tastings accordingly, because otherwise I just won't be able to taste
I feel that, yeah. I do have to plan specifically like what I'm eating around tea time.
it.
Like
Right.
I like to eat before because then if I'm just
Sure.
pure tea, then my stomach aches. But then like okay, like what's like I don't want to go tasteless with my food, but I need like the simplest food that can get washed out easily that I can enjoy the full flavors of the tea. So I mean before this I like had some just like some plain rice to get something in my stomach.
Yeah.
During a
Yeah.
little break there, I just had a couple spoonfuls of peanut butter. I'm like, okay, that's fat, that's protein, we're good. But then
Same.
it gets
Yeah,
washed out by the pour.
I usually um I kind of do like an intermittent fasting thing. So I usually eat from like 12 to 8. But if I know I'm gonna have like a session like this, which started at noon, like I
Yeah.
actually had like I had a breakfast, or not really a breakfast. I had a bowl of chili at like 10 o'clock. I figured, okay, that's nice. And by the time 12 o'clock comes, I'll have something in my belly, which is nice. But I find that shou, I'm usually okay drinking shou on an empty stomach. I don't really have a problem with that, unless it's like a really aggressive shung. If it's like a really aggressive shung, I can just on
Hmm.
an empty stomach, it can get a little can wreck me.
I would say green gets me the worst.
Yeah, I don't drink much green. That's why. Oh, do you mean green puerh, or just like green tea in general?
Oh, green tea in general. Yeah,
Oh,
that's when
okay.
I like 100% need something in my stomach. But yeah, no, like I was starting off with not much food and having the show pour, and it wasn't bad. I just wanted to be
Yeah,
safe with a spoonful of peanut butter, but yeah, but it's all the good gut health stuff in show pour, which is
yeah.
probably also the benefit of
That's
why it feels okay.
right, right. Yeah, for sure. I actually get, if I have like a really strong shung tea tasting session, like multiple teas, multiple hours,
Yeah.
uh, I get wildly hungry. I just get like these just like intense cravings for just like the biggest, juiciest burger. I don't know what it is, but like that's my post super tea session. I just need just the just
Well,
big
it works your
burger.
digestive
Yeah.
system, gets you hungry. So when
Yeah, I know it
you
must
want the
be.
burger,
That's
you want
yeah.
that fat filling out your body.
It must be exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because people online, they're always just like, "Oh, puerh tea, it's like it's so healthy. It's like great for weight loss." I'm like, you know what? I probably eat more just because of the puerh tea. Like puerh tea is not a It's not a weight loss super remedy.
Well, that's an interesting topic because a lot
It
of
is an interesting
there
topic. Yeah.
because a lot of people say, or it's like it's out there and advertised a lot that tea is really good for weight loss. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the one thing I don't tell people about because I don't think I've proven that myself. Like
I
not
haven't
I haven't
I haven't
lost
either.
weight having
Neither
tea
have
in
I.
my diet. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's probably like what you do with the tea that it gives you more energy.
Yeah.
If I were to go to the gym after having tea versus after having coffee, I've way more
Yeah.
sustained energy. Coffee will make me feel like okay, I can do a lot really quick, and then oh, I'm done.
It's with,
But
it's always with the caveat, as part of a healthy lifestyle, right? If you're an incredibly unhealthy person in every single aspect, and then you drink pu'er tea thinking it's going to be like this magical savior that's going to like make you
but
super healthy. It's not. It's not.
yeah,
But it is sometimes, marketed un unethically in that regard. So we just try to I just try to sell a healthy beverage. I let people make up their own decisions on if they want to use it for health or not. But
yeah, I do like to explain it's great for the digestive system, it's great for the immune system, and great for heart health. I mean, I'm pretty happy and heart healthy, it feels. So the things that I am sure about that I feel I get from tea, that's what I'll share. But otherwise, uh
yeah,
yeah, I can't say anything to weight loss. I'm like, I don't know, like feels like when I was running my tea house, I probably gained more weight.
yeah.
But I was
I mean,
probably staying still very much because it was a small room and I just kind of hung out behind the counter. So I probably just sat a lot and had tea.
yeah, I've got a pretty solid dad bod going on. So, and the tea doesn't matter how much tea I drink. It seems
You,
like I stay about the same. So
you can't avoid that when you're a dad.
I know, like you try not to, but it's just like, what are you gonna do? Like you're a dad. It's just what happens. So
All right, I'm going into
yeah.
my second set of leaves here.
Oh, nice. Same tea or something different?
I just stuck with the same one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I almost pulled out a Shungpur, but I'm like, this the session's about this one. And
I'm gonna keep
can't get enough.
playing. I'm gonna keep piling through these leaves here. So I think they still got plenty to go. So
Yeah. You seem to steep with a lot more leaves at a time. I don't usually play with that much leaves. I tend to stick around the 6 gram mark.
yeah, pu'er tea. I mean, you can overleaf and oversteep show pour specifically. It just doesn't care. Doesn't matter. Which I love because I like to brew something really thick and juicy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got my old leaves piled up in my seashell here
Oh, that's perfect. Oh,
to show them off.
that's nice. That's a really good idea for that.
Good, eh?
Um, yeah, no, it is. It works out really good. Trying to think. I usually just dump things on a big pile. If I'm doing like a bunch of different tea tastings, people like to see like during a tea tasting like the pile of leaves just like growing. It's just kind of fun. Yeah, look at that. That's a really cool seashell. I like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can
I
just
like
see
it.
the aging in it too, and where it's
Yeah,
old and but like the bone structure that is a shell. I mean, it's an animal, but
yeah,
it's just really cool to see how strong it is.
yeah.
Like
It's amazing.
it survived like hundreds of years being in the ground like that.
Yeah,
And then I can pour hot water directly over it, fine. And yeah,
that's really cool. Nice.
I think in the Zoom recording it shows one of us at a time, but it's like when it becomes a video, but still
Oh, right, because it
in
it
these moments when
switches.
we're just preparing the tea, we people can just kind of watch that. But that I think that's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I forget. I haven't done much of the Zoom recording things. I mean, I did a while during COVID. I did a lot of Zoom uh, tea tastings, but
Yeah.
I processed the video through software on the laptop at the same time. So I actually had it pull my camera out and pull their camera out and kind of put them side by side in a little YouTube streaming format. But that takes a little bit more. It takes a little bit more work to do that.
Okay. I think with this it just whoever is talking at a time, that's who it shows the video of, but whoever's voice is coming through the video. So right now you're watching me pour some tea into my bowl. And it's a lighter first steep. I don't know if you can see it without me.
Yeah, I can see it.
No,
It's
just a little
it's
bit.
steaming because you're outside, which is kind of
And
fun.
it's yeah. Oh, I love playing with steam.
Yeah, me too.
Outside is super fun too, because they can just pour water over anything and it's all steaming up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, here comes some rain though. I might have to move this inside soon because I don't
Oh,
want my
if it's
microphone
like your
getting wet.
microphone and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably if you
Yeah.
need to take care of that, you can.
Well,
It's
well,
like a legit rain coming down.
well, it's lighter, but it could get heavier. It's been cloudy this whole time, so we'll see. I'll wait it out like a minute until I
Sure.
think, think it might destroy things. Too bad though, because I'm really liking the setup. But
No, it's nice. It looks really nice too.
yeah, I'm planning. I think I'm just gonna throw a tea party together like tomorrow. Like just like I've been planning to do my own speak teasy thing,
Yeah,
like the Portland one. And I just keep saying I'm planning it. But I think one of these times I think I'm wanting my house to be perfect and ready and set up to invite guests
yeah,
over. But then I'm also realizing when is that actually going to be? Like when am
yeah.
I going to feel like it's perfect?
You just got to do it.
I know, right? Like it's just gotta go wabi sabi with it and go for it.
Yeah, we've got the kind of roughly the same idea. Like our, I mean, well, you've been here and you've had tea with us here.
Yeah.
Um, there's clearly a ton of kids' toys still around, and there's only like a certain level of clean I can get while also still having the kids being able to use the space. And so eventually I said, "Been like, you know what, whatever. It's like people can sit here and have tea, and there can be kids' toys in the background, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be fine." So
Yeah. The other vision is like if I get people over here and it's not perfectly set up and tidy, maybe part of the session is people getting together with ideas on how to make my space look better and more accessible. So then I just kind of
that's
get
true.
people's
That's
help.
fun. And then there is a certain amount of stress that happens like the 24 hours before people are coming over for tea that just makes you clean things much faster than you wouldn't. That's why I'm because we've been getting the house like ready for Christmas. There's like Christmas boxes and stuff and ornaments that are half on the tree and half off and things. And it's I realized, oh yeah, we haven't had anybody over for tea in a little bit. That's why I that's why I haven't had like that impetus, that spark to like really clean things up. So
Oh, I feel that. Yeah. Like this is the only time my house gets cleaned, like totally clean. I mean, sometimes I get the inspiration, but also it can be very much due to, oh, people are coming over. This looks quite bad. Let's get this cleaned up. All right.
I hear you.
It is actually raining now, so my stuff is coming inside.
Good. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep your stuff dry.
Yeah.
You use a is it a MacBook? Do you use Mac or is it a PC?
Yeah, it's MacBook.
There's the software I use for MacBook for doing the live streaming stuff is called OBS. And if
Yeah.
you want to play around with doing some fun stuff, OBS is amazing. It can literally do everything.
Hmm. Like
Yeah.
what is it for?
So it's OBS, it's open source, it's free, and so it stands for Open Broadcast Software. And so basically like imagine your laptop being like an entire TV studio, right? With like,
Huh.
like graphics that roll in to begin with, and then you have control over like where you want like the cameras to be. You can actually take your camera and like put it down in this small window and have somebody else's camera be big or something like that. You can do a ton of control. You can have video files coming in. You can have audio files. You can build all these different scenes, like an intro scene. Like this is what, like, hey, welcome to, Mecha Tea thing or something like that. And you can push a button and it brings that up and you can switch to, it's really awesome. OBS just controls all of that. So if you want to up your podcasting to the next level, it can also do its own recording.
Mhm.
So if you just did like a regular Zoom session that wasn't like a recordable Zoom session,
Yeah.
you could actually pull that video straight out of Zoom and have OBS do the recording as opposed to like Zoom doing the recording. And then you wouldn't be stuck with, like time limits, things like that.
Okay. Awesome. I'll look into that. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta grab the teaware.
Yep, sure. I'll be right here.
All
The
right.
camera's going to be watching me brew tea and staring at the camera. Hey, well, it's our podcast now. So, what are we going to talk about? Now that she's gone, we can get down to the real conversation. I don't know what that means. Uh, yeah. No, this tea's nice. I've pushed it past 10 steeps. I actually forgot the focal length of this camera is probably right about there. Pushed this about past 10 steeps. It still has a bunch of color. It's lost a lot of that a little bit of that early funkiness. This tea doesn't really have much early funkiness to begin with, but it's nice. It's just super sweet and chill at this point in time, which is a nice little sweet spot. Excuse me, give me a minute here to look at the phone. Ta-da, you're back. I've
Back.
been, I've been keeping people entertained.
Good, good. I kind of heard from afar.
Yeah, I'm used to just
Do a regular live stream for you when I'm
yeah,
gone
just
then.
me and tea and a camera. It's just I just you just open your mouth and just start talking.
That's great. I guess I could
Going.
probably start doing that myself when I'm doing the podcast. I'm just recording. But then it would be it
It's
would be
nice.
great for me to start doing video. I think I just haven't chosen what format I want to do video on.
It's it's nice doing it live because if once you get people who connect and watch it, then it makes it so much easier if people have a conversation or they're asking questions or you're talking back and forth. Excuse me.
Mhm.
It seems a lot more interactive, which is really nice as opposed to just if it's just like you talking to something that's recording it for later. At least that's what I've found.
It does seem that way, yeah. I enjoy that I have a sense of flow when it's just me
Yeah,
talking to a microphone. It's definitely a different feel. Like I feel like I'm just
sure.
talking to
Well, you'll
myself.
still
I know that there's eventually an audience. And so I think it's a different feel to be interacting than to
yeah,
not
you'll
be.
still have a lot of that because sometimes even when I have like a live session and maybe there's like 5 or 10 people on Instagram and 5 or 10 people on YouTube watching it. Um, Sometimes people don't want to be interactive, and so sometimes it'll just be like me for 5 minutes just monologuing. So you'll still have that for sure.
It's true. All right, you on this side. I'm gonna get this all sorted out. La la
But yeah,
la.
with the only thing is like OBS wouldn't be able to do a live stream into Instagram. Instagram is very protective of what they allow to broadcast into their platform. So, but OBS can easily do into YouTube or Twitch. I think there's some potential for people doing some stuff on some of the platforms like Twitch. I've thought about it, but it just seems like something extra to learn and do. But I think it could work.
I
Instagram's
don't know anything about Twitter.
nice. Well, it's just I mean it's just another it's very specifically a live streaming platform. It's just primarily used by uh gamers or artists, like an artist who's like sitting there drawing pictures or something like while they have like their live stream going. But um the we've been doing YouTube, and I need to do some more. It's just it takes time, it takes like effort to put it together, to actually get it done because you want something that looks nice and but OBS can certainly help with kind of constructing something that looks professional. You can message me about it afterwards. I can show you some little stuff. But
Certainly.
yeah, but
The quality of the camera has changed. I really liked being outside. It was very clear. Indoor lights are always just more fuzzy on the with the computer screen anyway.
Yeah, yeah, you'll I mean I've got some secondary lights here that actually work really good. And this, so you're just using like the laptop camera, right? Is that one? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we bought a like a specific travel video camera when we went to China this last time, and it looks nice. It actually works really well. It has like a like super high resolution, and I got some extra little lenses and stuff on it that made it just slightly more fish eye. So I think it actually turned out really nice. It looks good.
Does look good. You look, yeah, very,
Yeah,
very clear.
it's
Everything
fun.
is in there.
I've got my space. It's just like the camera's just the width of me, right?
Yeah. And that's as big as your T space is. So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people don't realize it's just like this is my just little
yeah.
corner. Although I have been wanting to take all the paintings down and put up like an actual like forested wallpaper scene, which I think would be kind of fun. So like this corner actually kind of looked like it was a part of the forest. But I do like having the artwork there as well. So
Yeah.
or I could just do it green screen and then just do it all in post. Then look like I'm
I,
brewing on a space
I like
station.
the cakes on the wall, but at the same time, it's good to do a little change of scenery
Yeah,
as well. Right
been
now,
thinking about it.
right now, I just kind of got this desk shelf thing in my
Yeah.
room recently, and I figure my two tapestries behind here just got one hung over the door so that it doesn't look just brown wood, and then
No, it
this
looks nice. I
one.
like the
So
colors on
yeah, yeah, it works.
it.
Simple,
Nice.
quick background.
No, this tea's going good. And I need to get some more artwork up on the walls if I'm going to do the art thing. I like having that showing the cakes off and stuff. We've got new designs, so it'd be nice to get some of the new designs up there.
Yeah, I got an old cake up on my wall here. Um, where is it? It's a pig.
Yeah, yeah, I see it up there.
Yeah, I think I gotta find an actual frame that I can keep it, but that was a good one. It was like a 400-gram cake from 2019. I think it was just
It's a
kind of
big
like
cake.
spring something. And I don't know. I think it was the first one that actually broke up and decided to sell through Mecca Tea to introduce people to puerh. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably better. I mean, a lot of the time it's like go with show puerh to introduce it because it's tends to be more accessible, um,
right.
more like black. But anyway, that was my one when I brought it out to farmers markets. And I'm like, great tea, it tastes like dirt. Want to try? And it went over
And
well.
people do. That's the thing. It's just like, shh, yeah, I do. And then it's the tea speaks for itself. I mean, it really does. Like I have found very few people who didn't have some form of an emotional connection to show puerh tea. Like if it's a good tea, if it's like a quality tea that's not a bad tasting, like people will find some way to emotionally connect to it. It will remind them of something. It'll remind them of some, you know, camp that they went on as kids, or it'll remind them of like some hike that they did, or it'll remind them of something, which is one of the I think is one of the cool things about tea is like the way it connects to memories individually, unique to each person.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, certainly. That's why, like, I'm not so scientifically minded. So
Yeah,
things that I learn about tea and like very specific details, it just doesn't exactly stick. But I can remember the feel of a tea. Like I can remember,
sure.
oh, like someone says like a name of a tea. I'm like, oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
had. Oh, that feels like, yeah. And now and it's like the memory comes with a facial expression and emotion.
Wow. Okay.
That's why I write poetry about tea because
Right.
it really it really has a presence and a feel to it that does bear that kind of memory. And
Those are characteristics that are possible in tea that exist separate from like what the tea smells and tastes like. So you can have the same tea and that tea may smell and taste different from session to session, but the emotional quality of the tea is the same. And that's interesting because if you can start to catalog that or have that, it's one way that people um in China claim that they can understand where the tea comes from.
Mm.
There's a sixth characteristic of a tea that they call it doesn't it's not bound by like flavor, taste, look, it's not bound by your five senses. There's a sixth characteristic of tea that is equivalent to like the essence of the tea or the spirit of the tea. And if you can understand the spirit of the tea, I'm not specifically the tea, but like the spirit of like where it comes from, like the essence of this specific mountain, like Nan Shan or something like that. You're supposed to be able to taste and experience any tea from Nan Shan that will have that same sixth emotional characteristic to it, even though the tea may smell and taste entirely different than other teas from Nan Shan. It's just kind of an interesting idea that they'll talk about at tea tastings in China.
Hmm. Oh man, I gotta go to China. One of these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of daunting and but it's a lot easier now than it was 10 20 years ago. It's super easy to get to the tea mountains. They're far more accessible now than they ever were before.
Okay.
But yeah, still just takes some work, takes some doing.
How
But
much time does it take getting around like I guess one of the mountains? Like how big of a landmass is it?
well, so Yunnan province, which is where, I mean, that's the only place that we source our tea from. So Yunnan province is roughly the size of Washington and Oregon combined, right? So it's big. So it's a decent size. But most of where the tea comes from would be in like just the Oregon part, if that makes sense. So the most of the northern part of Yunnan is Himalayas, and it's too high. It's just not conducive for growing tea. But then most of like the actual the best teas that you would want to focus on would only come from like roughly like the size of southern Oregon, if that makes sense. So it's still big. It's really big. I mean, you would not be able to in a single tea picking season, you would not be able to visit every tea mountain. I mean, there's just hundreds of them all over the place. But yeah, if you did like even like a small like a handful of days in the Zishuangban Menghai area, you could easily get to like three or four different tea mountains in that time and get to spend because you wouldn't want to just like roll into the town for like an hour and then like leave. You want to like be there for a little bit and kind of get an idea of the ebb and flow of the village life and just kind of how things work. But the closest tea mountain, the one that most people go to first is Nanoshan. Nanoshan is it's like a 30-minute cab ride from the big airport in that area. And so a lot of times people just fly in to that airport, go to Nanoshan in the morning, spend all day at Nanoshan, and then catch a flight out in the evening. And that works really well for them. But then there's other villages around there if you're in the area for longer. So it's certainly doable if you've got like a time crunch. It can happen. You just have to have an adventurous spirit. And if you it's pretty easy these days to actually get like international SIM cards with data plans. So if you get an international SIM card with a data plan and you have set up, well, like I was saying before Zoom so rudely interrupted us.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember this was Nanyoshan and getting a phone service plan.
no,
Got
no, Sean. Yeah, you can get it's pretty easy. A lot of the modern phones have digital SIM cards now, which is amazing. So you don't actually have to like swap SIM cards in and out, and you can just like
it.
pay for a SIM card on your phone, and then it just when you get to China, you just push a button to switch over to your non-US or North American SIM card, and then that works fine. Or you can like purchase a SIM card when you get to China, put that in, and now you have a data plan. But you have to the one thing that's that's particular that you have to do is you have to have VPN software pre-installed and set up on your phone. Because if you get to China, you're not allowed to install it. The App Store doesn't even let you download VPN software. So that's critical. So if you have once you have, like your SIM card figured out, once you've got your VPN set up, then it just, like you can actually go pretty far with just a handful of, like Chinese translation apps, which actually work, yeah, like 90% of the time. They can get a lot of stuff done. I mean, I certainly rely heavily on my, like wife being able to translate Chinese for me, but I think I could probably make a go of it myself. I mean, I know I could. It's just easier when I when she's with for sure. But I could
Hmm.
do it if I had to go alone.
That's true. I've been learning wrong language on Duolingo. I'm learning Spanish, so it's like
Oh, you're learning Spanish. Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's
like,
not going to help you in China.
no, no,
No,
it's helping me
no,
go to
not at all.
Mexico or Spain or wherever, but
Yeah,
yeah, no,
absolutely.
I think I should I was starting off doing some Japanese, which is still not going to help me in China, but at least when I
Yeah, not at all.
Japan is closer. That's just
Physically closer.
also over
Yeah,
the water.
I studied Japanese in college for years, and then the it's the most in the biggest twist of irony after spending like years learning Japanese, I marry a girl from China. So like all my Japanese skills like useless. Yeah, useless. But and I found for I don't know for the way my brain works, studying and learning Japanese was really really easy for me. I just vibed with the Japanese language at a
Yeah,
very low level. But
I was
Chinese for me
surprised
has
at
been
how
really
accessible
hard.
it was for me.
Yeah, Chinese, it's just the tones. I can never, nobody ever understands me when I'm speaking in Chinese. And I try to get the tones just right. And I know they're supposed to like, it's like they understand through context. And so I sit there and I try and try and try and try and say things. And they just look at me like they don't know what I'm saying. And then my wife says the same thing. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, I swear I said it the right way. But it just,
Well, and
I
then
don't
you're
know.
going to get different regions in China too that have different sense of probably
Yeah.
pronunciation, dialect, and
Yeah, that's one of the what's one of the tricks in Yunnan is this. So I mean Yunnan's pretty remote. Yunnan has its very own specific dialects and Yunnan style and accents and be like trying to learn English in the swamps of Louisiana or something. You're like, yeah, you're gonna learn it, but no one else is gonna understand you. And then there's you'll once you get out to the Tea Mountains, most of those people there aren't the Han ethnicity, and so they don't. I mean, they'll speak Chinese, but often it's not their first language, and so that makes things trickier as well. And then my wife's family they're ethnically Tibetan, so they speak a lot of Tibetan stuff in the house, and so half the time I don't know if I'm listening to like local dialect or Tibetan or Chinese, and so I just get really really confused when I'm there. But I try, but I'm just not as good as I wish I was at this point in time.
hmm oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
At
Well, I
least
just
at least you can
yeah
get along and do things there.
yeah I can. I mean, but it's just it's largely because of my wife's help. She's the one who helps to do all of that stuff while we're there. But I think I could if I had to do it go by myself. I could probably do it. It just would take some extra effort. So,
Yeah. Ah,
nice.
and
This has been fun.
yeah,
So,
just a
go ahead.
quick, which area is this tea we're drinking actually from?
So it's all these teas are from the shou is from Yunnan province. This is a blend of different mountains in different areas. So it doesn't really have a characteristics of a specific village. You find that happening a lot more with shou just because the amount of tea material it takes to create that wet pile process. It's not as easy to. I mean, it's a little bit easier now with a smaller batch stuff, but this was done a while back, and so this is a larger batch wet pile fermentation. And because of that, they'll get as much material as they possibly can to put into that pile to get that pile going. And so they'll have from multiple villages, multiple areas and stuff. So it doesn't really have a specific characteristic unique to an
Okay.
individual village, but it's a nice little blend. Blend is called ping pei in Chinese. It's a ping pei.
Okay.
Ping pei.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
It's a cute
Thanks
word.
for that memory. Ping
Yeah,
pei.
stick that up on your shelf. Put
Yeah.
it up there. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah, this has been very fun.
It has
Glad
been a lot of fun. Yeah.
glad to chat, and maybe next time we nerd out more specifically on puerh, and we'll have like a shung and a show that we're comparing, and whether or not it's the same one, we'll
That's
just
that's a good way. That's a good way to do it. Well, I mean, if Canada Post ever decides to open up shipping again, I can ship you a little something. We can try it together. It's nice to do a shung first because it kind of like brings your energy up, and then the show just kind of like mellows it down. So that's how I kind of do it, shung and
mhm.
then show. So
When the show has a stronger holding like mouth feel too, so it's
yeah,
nice to start with shung. It's a little bit cleaner in the mouth, and
yeah,
then transition.
absolutely. It works well like that. So
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, we should do it again. Thanks for inviting me on your little podcast.
absolutely. Great to have you. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, have a good rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Happy
Thanks.
sip of tea, everybody.
Ta-da!